Under Jeremy Corbyn's newest proposals, his to extend freedom of movement, it is believed that the annual net migration to the United Kingdom could go up to as far as 840,000 newcomers a year. This was published by the Tories, so do we believe them or not? For this we have to use some evidence. The evidence is that of the Conservative track record and the Labour track record. However, the problem here and the inherent issue is that Corbyn rejects New Labour for the most part. The only aspects of New Labour he supported were parts where money was thrown at something and people were better off because of it. Wasn't so fond of all the tax breaks. Wasn't so fond of the war. The pointless war, no less. The illegal war, to those who like to call it that. So during Tony Blair's time as Prime Minister from 1997 to let's say 2010, because let's face it, Gordon Brown did nothing for those 3 years but dither, immigration reached pretty high numbers. However, they weren't the peak. The highest it reached, was under David Cameron, meaning Labour, while they did have quite the surge from around 320,000 to 450,000 within the space of 2 years, they did not have as big a leap as that of the Conservatives, who in 2012 to 2014 jumped it from 500,000 to over 600,000. Now, net immigration in the United Kingdom has been going down. It has been to around 250,000, but migration as a whole, including emigration, is still really high. People like to look at the numbers for net immigration and then not look at the net migration numbers. But then when they look at net migration, they realise, these numbers aren't as, no. The forecasts that the Conservatives are basing it upon are based on existing trends which come from New Labour essentially, that show the annual influx has the potential to treble, which is what I earlier discussed. In a worst-case scenario, that is. Senior Tories have warned that the population surge would be a massive strain on public services, the very services that Labour want to buy back. And there is a point to that, but there's a new one as well. Under Labour, virtually no new homes were built for a very long time. Just to keep up with population growth, we have to make about 250,000 new homes every year. With that many people coming into the country, people are going to be top and tailing in bed together. It'll be the equivalent to human Tetris. And I'm all for people, by the way, coming to the United Kingdom. I should be very clear about that. However, I have always supported a controlled migration. I have always supported, maybe not the Australia points system, because I've looked at that, it's a bit weird, but you have to bring something to the table or be of a dire need that we can offer you some help. And in before someone says, what about the refugees? You mean the majority of which that were proven to be economic migrants? Thank you. Try again. The premise being with the strain on public services would include schools and NHS. What the Tories left out was also welfare, because Corbyn would want to extend it to everyone. Current rules don't allow that. Corbyn, to be honest, doesn't really have a plan with how to deal with the consequences of an open borders policy. And to have such a policy would be a smack in the face to all those people that voted leave because they wanted controlled immigration. Emphasis on immigration. The bigger risk also to the NHS is that because of Corbyn's plans for uncontrolled and unlimited immigration, the strain on the services would be worse than what they are now, because all he thinks he'll do is throw additional billions at it, and that will resolve it. Forgetting here that the National Health Service is a national thing, not a European thing. He also has plans to bring in 2 additional referendums next year, one for Scotland and one for Brexit, with a new comprehensive deal, no deal, remain. Although I don't think no deal's on the options. I think he'll just have deal or remain. Knowing him, that'll be what he chooses. The research that Tories have published is based on their analysis on a motion that was passed by Labour at their conference in September, calling for a future Labour government to maintain and extend free movement rights. Labour accepted that the proposals were nebulous, vague for those who don't know, as the motion did fail to specify how far the rights should be extended. The analysis the Tories publish estimated that if existing European Economic Area free movement rights were kept in place after the current Brexit trends, it is suggested average net migration to the UK would be 250,000 over the next 10 years. And it should be noted, were the freedom of movement rules to be extended to the rest of the world, which is something I think Corbyn would be open to, the figure could reach up to 840,000. Whether you want to believe this or not, by the way, is entirely up to you. I think it's quite exaggerated by considerable margin. I do not support freedom of movement as proposed by the Labour government. I do support it controlled. I apply that anywhere, but I'm only thinking of my country because we have enough problems right now that could be addressed first. Get your house in order before you start welcoming in the vultures and those who actually want to do something that benefits the country. But since Corbyn is a gullible little fool, vultures seems appropriate.